and welcome to The Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Stephen Einstein. Thank y'all for joining me for April 1st. And here in the States, and I'm not sure if it's everywhere, but here in the States it is April Fool's Day. So there's a bunch of jokes going around and things happening. But this isn't a joke. We're talking about spirituality here. So I'm looking forward to seeing what April kicks off with. And again, see if they continue the meditation theme with how it's been going, or if it's going to be a new kind of shift. So it's been March was a great month, finished out strong, and looking forward to seeing what April brings from James Allen. And it will be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning this is the first time I've ever read it. And you will get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading. So here we go, April 1st, 2023, of James Allen's Daily Meditations. A man has no character, no soul, no life, apart from his thoughts and deeds. Each man is responsible for the thoughts which he thinks and the acts which he does, for his state of mind and the life which he lives. No power, no event, no circumstance can compel a man to evil and unhappiness. He himself is his own compeller. He thinks and acts by his own volition. No being, however wise and great, not even supreme, can make him good and happy. He himself must choose the good, and thereby find the happy. Love that. This life of triumph is not for those who are satisfied with any lower conditions, for it is those who thirst for it and are willing to achieve it, who are as eager for righteousness as the miser is for gold. It is always at hand and is offered to all. And blessed are they who accept and embrace it. They will enter the world of truth. They will find the perfect peace. There is a larger, higher, nobler, diviner life than that of sinning and suffering. Wow. That is a very strong reading to start off April with. It kind of blends in with yesterday's, and living a good life, that goodness is divine, and living according to spiritual laws and principles. But this one is this one's another one of the heavy hitters, I would say, honestly. It's a lot about taking the responsibility upon oneself for what's occurring in their life. And that's a pretty strong place to be at the end of the day. So, all right, so we kicked off with a man has no character, no soul, no life, apart from his thoughts and his deeds. That's one of those statements that's kind of... That's one thing I love about James Allen. Let me say it this way, guys. He'll state certain things, and you read it, and you're like, well, of course. But to see it written down in front of you in that way makes an impact. At least it does for me. It makes me, it's almost profound because it's of its simplicity and its the truth of it, how undeniable it is, right? Because man has no character but soul, no character, no soul, no life, apart from his thoughts and his deeds. Like, what you choose to think and what you choose to do, say, how to behave, things like that, just shows your character, shows your soul, and shows your life, like all of those things are direct reflection of what you hold in your mind and what is demonstrated through your actions. And it's a simple concept, I know, but at the end of the day, it's one of those undeniable truths that just hits me in a certain type of way. But so the main body of the reading goes on. Each man is responsible for the thoughts which he thinks, and the acts which he does, for his state of mind, and the life which he lives. Like directly, without mincing any words, without putting any confusing perspective on it or anything. He's very straightforwardly saying you're responsible for what you do, for what you think, for your state of mind, and the life which he lives, and the life you live, what you have around you, and where you're going, and what's the direction your life is taking, solely your responsibility. I was a person that was under the impression, that was under the belief that life was happening to me, and I didn't have a say in it. That's what I like to tell myself anyway. That, what was I supposed to do? Life's just happening. I do it the best I can, fighting this life thing. But what I held in my mind and what my actions were saying were bringing upon me things of my own making and putting me back in the same situation over and over and over again, to the point where I was suffering tremendously, but so selfish and so ignorant to how selfish I was that I really thought the world just operated that way. So when he puts it so clearly, each man is responsible for his thoughts, for the thoughts which he thinks, and the acts which he does. Like you are not excused from the words that come out of your mouth because you were under duress. You're not excused because you were drunk. You're not excused because you were angry. You're not excused from any action you take for any reason. It is always solely your responsibility. He goes on to even further this for a state of mind. If you are unhappy, that's your responsibility as well. Because you're usually seeking happiness external to yourself. And you believe that happiness is something that you can set a goal to achieve. But it can be any state of mind, though. Constantly angry, constantly jealous, constantly greedy, constantly self-centered. You were responsible for those things. And then he ends that sentence with, and the life which he lives. So everything you have in your life is, again, your responsibility. The direction life is taking, the decisions you're making to further the direction you're going, all of that is your responsibility. And I didn't quite realize that for a long time. He goes on to say, no power, no event, no circumstance can compel a man to evil and unhappiness. So if you are sinning, or if you're being selfish, or if you're doing something considered evil, there is nothing in this world that can make you do that. You will always have to choose it. Always. There is always a choice, as hard as that is to believe, because there's some situations where people don't see a choice. There's always a choice. No event, power, or circumstances can make you do something evil or make you unhappy. He himself is his own compeller. He himself is his own compeller. We compel ourselves to these things. We influence these things in our lives. He thinks and acts by his own volition. Under our own under our own understanding, under our own intentions, we think and we act. Right? So James Allen wrote a second, it almost is a follow-up. A lot of people consider it a follow-up, at least out from the heart. Like the way what your heart holds is where your intention is born from. And if it's love, you'll have like a genuine, caring, and loving, compassionate perspective on life, and your actions will be done solely for good and right purposes. But if it's anything but love, usually there's only two. It's widely considered that there's only two states. It's love and fear. If you're operating from a fear place, meaning I'm never going to have enough, I've got to be the best at this, I've got to overcome these people because of, and it's all fear-driven behaviors. Your intentions will never be genuine and will never be proper. So we are our own compeller. What we hold in our hearts compels us to act and think. And we hold that there. That's our choices. That's how we act by our own volition, why we act on our own volition, why it is our own responsibility. No being, however wise and great, not even the Supreme, can make him good and happy. There's nothing in your life that will suddenly come into it and make you a good person, make you righteous, or make you happy. It took me, that was one of the most painful lessons I've ever learned, was happiness was not something to be achieved directly. I can't aim at happy. That's selfish. But what I can aim at is a good life. What I can aim at is a righteous living. And happiness will be a byproduct of that. The sentence kind of goes into that. He himself must choose the good and thereby find the happy. The happy will come to you. These perspectives and these situations will come to you if you choose living with virtue and righteousness. You must choose that, though. It's a very distinct choice you need to make. And then when you live that way, happiness is a byproduct of good living. This life of triumph is not for those who are satisfied with any lower conditions. If working off of animalistic desires and urges and pleasure-seeking behaviors still works for you and you're happy with living that life, this one, it will not. Like if you think that's the best life you can live is a one of pleasure, selfish, and self-centered thinking, and there's no reason to try this way. This life, the spiritual walk, is not meant for those who have no desire to embrace it, because there's a lot that has to be left behind. The sacrifice is quite great, but the rewards are greater. And everyone's rewards will have some common themes, like you'll find joy, you'll find happiness, peace, power, wisdom in this life, and more contentment than you ever thought possible. But there's some initial sacrifices that need to be made to let this in. The spiritual life is what he's talking about in this next part. It is for those who thirst for it and are willing to achieve it. And that's two parts, right? There's a lot of people that want it. And then even past that, there's a lot of people that learn about it. There's a lot of people that read books. They go to seminars. They do all this stuff. But are they willing to achieve it? Are they willing to put in the work? There's some willingness that has to go along with it. It's not just learning the information, This is not just hollow understandings of beginning a spiritual journey and then just staying there. That's the thing. This life comes with change and willingness to do differently. And that's not easy for me. But I am so happy I got to a place where I did have that willingness to do it. He goes on, just to give an example, this life, it is for those who thirst for it and are willing to achieve it, who are as eager for righteousness as the miser is for gold. You have to pursue these things. There's a phrase that comes to mind with the desperation of a drowning man, that you would do anything for this, because the old life just isn't working anymore. The old life is the old way of living, the lower way of living, they call it in some circles, or sinful life, or whatever it is, however you'd like to categorize it if you want to, is a painful life to live, depressing, unfulfilling, purposeless life to live. It is always at hand and is offered to all. It's everywhere, and you can start living differently now. That's the just absolutely incredible part of this whole thing. You can start living differently in this right now, today, and just have an incredible experience and just get started on this path. And it's for anyone at any time. He finishes the main body of this with, and blessed are they who accept and embrace it. They will enter the world of truth. They will find perfect peace. So that's a promise right there, right? Happiness he's promised. Perfect peace he has promised. Those two things, those are big things that a lot of people are looking for and are trying a lot of different things to get there. But many don't realize it's from good living that they show up. Peace, power, wisdom, happiness, joy, faith. It's incredible. It's an incredible life. He ends it with, there is a larger, higher, nobler, diviner life than that of sinning and suffering. And that's just kind of the summation of that second half of the main body of this. There's a larger, higher, nobler, diviner life than that of sinning and suffering. There's more to you than just running around with pleasure-seeking behaviors, trying to just feel good about what's going on right now. There's something much more magnificent on the other side that I didn't know was possible, could even be there, that I couldn't see. But I had to choose to practice faith and go for it anyway. So, talk about amazing April 1st reading. Filled with truth on this one. Like, it just is. It's filled with truth, and it's filled with a message of earnestness and a message of willingness. So, thank you all for joining me today, though. It was a great reading. I really appreciate it. And go ahead, give our Facebook page a like and a follow if you would, please. Let us know where you're at or where you're listening from. And we will jump on again for tomorrow, April 2nd. And I really am excited about that, actually. So, until next time, thanks.